Well, hello and welcome to my Situtery. My name's Jane. I'm a textile artist living and working in the heart of beautiful Scotland. And yeah, get yourself a drink and let's have a chat because today I want to talk about my birthday. Doesn't that sound really big-headed? But anyway, next week it is my birthday and I love my birthday. I know that there's lots of people who don't, but I love my birthday, and particularly I have celebrated it with a whoop whoop ever since a very silly hospital consultant told me that I had a very short life expectancy, long expired, and he was just wrong and silly. But it still means that I pay really strong attention to the turning of each year. So by next Friday, I will be 56. And I've had such a great time being 55. And I feel that I have stepped up and come into my own and done a whole load of things that I was a little bit scared of in my 55th year. And I am looking forward to bringing that all into my 56th. It's quite interesting. Of my friends, I would say about half, maybe slightly more, have their birthdays in late April, May, or early June. You know, we're all Taurians or early Geminis, and it's a lovely time to have a birthday. So I was speaking to a few of my friends, and we were out and, you know, sitting around the table at that end of the meal kind of thing where everybody's kind of like just finished their drinks and there's cake is sitting around with all of the teaspoons. People have been all sharing a bit of cake and just chatting. And somebody asked about, you know, because we were all going to be having birthdays or had just had birthdays, what were our birthday wishes? And it was just so fascinating because, you know, these are amazing, competent, articulate, confident women. And suddenly everybody was talking about something that really they no longer did, that they had used to be passionate about, whether that was singing or rowing or making things, painting, writing, that they just didn't do anymore. And there was such longing, I suppose, in all of these things. And then we kind of like sat there and thought, well, you know, we looked at our friend and go, well, but why do you not do that? Because it would be perfectly possible for you to take up the piano again or go to an art class or whatever. But somehow we all knew that, you know, we wanted to do these things, but there was a gap, such a gap between knowing we wanted to do it and actually doing it. And of course, when we realise we've done that, all of the voices that come in are actually blaming us. You know, we procrastinate. We give in to perfectionism, so we don't ever start anything. We never, ever finish anything. We are scattered, unfocused, lazy. If we go and buy all of the things to do this thing, which I think is a really common way of our sort of our psyche, our minds, our something telling us that we really want to be creative. Suddenly we find that we have bought very expensive watercolors or a whole load of quilting material, or we have a massive stash of yarn. And that is a nudge, a whisper, a kind of a, come on, get on with it kind of thing. But when we stop there, as is so common, so many of us, we just feel that we've wasted money, that we've been profligate, and then it is all of this guilt kind of things. But of course, that's really not what's happening at all. What's happening is that we are so used to giving to everybody else, to being there for everybody else, to doing things for everybody else, putting other people's creative projects higher than our own. And that is almost like a place of safety, because it's difficult to break out of. And then, yes, we do get coping strategies so we don't break out of that. So, yes, we procrastinate or take things slow or various things. But usually it is because we have got so used to doing things for everybody else, for noticing the slightest need in other people and rushing in to, get them a cup of tea or sort something out or whatever it is, that to do that, many of us have just put things on a back burner that we want to do and convince ourselves that at some point we'll get round to it. And I remember I once met a woman who had bought one of my craft kits a couple of years previously. Now, my craft kits were really easy. They were kind of like a monthly thing. That you could buy them separately as well, and they would take 1 to 2 hours tops to do. And this woman, and she was truly honest, she was saying, I really want to do it, but I just haven't been able to find the time. I'm thinking, 2 hours, uninterrupted time in 2 years that you can't find. She was confident, articulate, she wasn't sort of somebody who gave the impression of, being hammered down by life. Yet there was something stopping her moving from wanting desperately to do something creative, to buying this kit, to seeing herself doing this kit. I think it was a little weaving thing. But there was a big gap between that and actually doing it and making the weaving and hanging it up on her wall, which is obviously, what she had envisaged when she'd first spent the £25. And that, when I was thinking about my birthday wish, it was all around this, that I can help women move from this point where they're getting nudged by the need for creativity or nature or connection in their lives, and that's coming out in buying things or signing up for courses or whatever it is, and then helping them move to actually doing the things, actually having support, actually having a community of people. Because I am incredibly well placed, because the studio club, it has lots of people who are doing things for the first time, and that thrills me. They've learned embroidery skills because they're wanting to make something about their grandmother, and they're wanting to use the skills that she would have had. This is a first time thing, and the results are always so much better than they had thought. And so we always have those kind of like first time skills people. But I've also got this group in the studio club who have retained their creativity right through their lives and retained that curiosity and the drive. They're really there for structure and inspiration and community, but also they love to help and support other women. So I have this access to this amazing group of women and men. I always say women because we're about 90% women, but there are 10% men there, who are all stages of creativity and are all really keen to talk about it. Because we have stitching bees. So we have like Zoom stitching bees live. We'll have a topic, or we'll just chat about something, or I might get an author in, or at the end of this month we have Gillian Smiley, who runs an eco printing clothing company where she takes vintage and secondhand clothes and she eco prints them and then sells them on. So it's a slow fashion, high fashion kind of business. She's coming in to talk to us all. So that's kind of beside the point. But anyway, what I was saying is I've got this amazing group, and I thought that's a really wonderful place to start with this mission. And then I thought, I would also do this course, this mastermind, which I'm getting increasingly, masterclass, not mastermind, masterclass that I'm getting increasingly excited about. It's a free masterclass all about time and where time leaks and where we can start to prioritize ourselves and be generous with ourselves and look at time in very different ways. Now you can sign up for that directly under this video if you want to come along. It's completely free. It is on the 12th of June at 11 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So if you're wanting to do that, do come along. And the other reason I think that I am particularly well placed to have this mission is that when this general kind of thing of wanting to do something but not doing it happens to coincide with having chronic illness or being perimenopausal or menopausal, or having the sudden care and increasing often care responsibilities for elderly relatives. All of these things make it more difficult. All of these things increase the sense of guilt if you were doing something for yourself. So if you have a chronic illness, as I do, and my hours are already restricted, barky dog gone past. Teasel, shh. Your hours are already restricted, then it's even easier to feel that you should be putting everybody else first and kind of like fulfilling your role in life. And you have slivers of time left for yourself. Or if things like perimenopausal symptoms come up and you're getting more tired and more fatigued, things seem to take longer, you're running out of time in your mind in this same way. Again, there is the feeling that, well, everybody else needs to come first because you don't want the shame of everybody noticing that you're not doing things. So I'll be talking about all of these things because I think that somehow I have become particularly well placed to help people in this gap between the nudge and the action. And that's what I am going to be devoting my 56th year to. Or is it it would be my 57th year, wouldn't it? Because you only get the number at the end of it. So, yes, there we are. But before that, I will be going plant shopping. I've been given some money by my parents to go and buy some plants. So this weekend, I'm going to be going to some plant nurseries and buying plants for kind of like a new part of the garden, which I find very exciting because I love plants, and these particular nurseries, we bought lots of plants in when we first came here, or actually for our previous garden, and I dug them up and brought them here. So lots of things like the really deep blue Pulmonaria blue ensign, which you can actually get very commonly now. When we bought that 20 something years ago, it was really unusual, but I still have that particular plant grown and expanded and things all over the garden. And every time I see it, I remember going around these plant nurseries with my toddler daughters. And same with Japanese anemones, which do very well in the garden here, and sanguisobas and things. So I tie memory very much to plants. So this is going to be a wonderful opportunity to set some new memories and buy some new plants with my birthday money. So until next week, have a lovely weekend. Please do sign up for the free masterclass. Excuse me, because I'm making a separate list so I can send people more information about it, and crucially reminders nearer the time, because it's the 12th of June, which is still quite far away. And I would love for you to see that. Oh, one thing, I was going to show you the photos from our food waste dying last week, it was just such a successful workshop. Sometimes, because if you're doing a natural dye workshop and you're doing it live, you've got an hour. And I was wanting to do several things. I was wanting to do 3 full dye baths, and then to sort of like show how I did avocados, give advice on mordanting and scouring and cellulose, as well as protein fiber. It was a lot. There was a lot to fit in there. And if you are a studio clubber, the replay is up on the website, and I've also got a kind of summary of what is in there, as well as there are downloadable PDFs about each of the sections. So when you've only got an hour for all of that, I always worry that, I'm not going to get everything done, and particularly that I'm not going to get everything done to the standard that I would normally do it in my studio, because things are going to be in the dye pots for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But I needn't have worried, because the goddesses were looking down fondly on me last Friday. All the colours were absolutely amazing. So I have started a needlepoint where I'm going to just sew a square of each 15 stitches by 15 stitches of each of the colours, because the threads that I'm using are crewel threads, so they could be used for needlepoint or for embroidery. And I just want to let people see how it's doing. But I'll show you that next week, because at the moment there's only 4 squares, so it isn't very spectacular. But maybe by next week I'll have a lot more colours on it, and I will show you how it all went. But till then, bye bye.